Couple of heavyweight fights in week 13. The San Francisco 49ers beating the Miami Dolphins, but lost at the same time. Their starting quarterback, Jimmy Garoppolo, broken foot. He's going to be done for the season. Brock Purdy, Baker Mayfield now on the market, getting cut by the Carolina Panthers. Another heavyweight fight with the Bengals beating the Kansas City Chiefs. We've got an injury to Lamar Jackson. We've got the return of Deshaun Watson. All that and more coming up on this episode of Peacock and Williamson.
NFL analyst Brian Peacock and former NFL scout Matt Williamson bring you expert NFL analysis every day in less than 30 minutes. Get an inside look into the NFL on the field and in the front office. With elite breakdowns, next-level analysis, and in-depth information only for the real NFL fans. This is Peacock and Williamson, and it starts now.
Welcome to the Peacock and Williamson NFL Show. Brian Peacock and Matt Williamson at BD Peacock at Williamson NFL. Thanks for making us your first listen here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. Today's episode of Peacock and Williamson is presented by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is daily fantasy made easy. All you do is you pick 2 to 5 players, and if they score more or less than their Prize Picks projection, you can win up to 10 times your money on that entry. First-time users can receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with promo code Locked On. That's PrizePicks.com, promo code Locked On. We've got to start with the San Francisco 49ers 33-17 win over the Miami Dolphins, and it was Brock Purdy early in this, too. In the first quarter, Brock Purdy had to go win this game for the 49ers, Matt, and he was able to do it. And 33-17, the final. Jimmy Garoppolo in the first quarter breaks his foot. Turns out he's going to be done for the season. The 49ers have already picked up Josh Johnson. There's so much to take away from this game. I guess we'll start with the game just because.
Sure, it's a good one.
There's 2 playoff teams, both 8-4 now. And the 49ers defense, the question with this was, okay, 49ers defense, can they stop a powerhouse offense like the Miami Dolphins? Because they played some bad offenses recently. And the last time they faced a really good offense was Patrick Mahomes. And Mahomes put up 44 points on the 49ers. That was not the case in this one. 33-17. There was 2 big hitters for the Dolphins, and that was just about it. They made Tua look as bad as he's looked all season.
Yeah, that was my impression as well. Obviously, you studied every snap. Don't worry, Bengals fans, your time's coming, but we do have some quarterback news that's going to trump the biggest games, but this is right behind Bengals Chiefs for me in terms of impact on the league. My takeaways were kind of like you said. 8 rushing attempts for Miami. The Niners just dominating time of possession as well as the turnover situation. I feel like I haven't given your buddy Nick Bosa enough credit. I think Bosa and Parsons are neck and neck for defensive MVP, and I don't even know who number 3 is at this point. They're playing at unbelievably high levels right now. I thought pass rush was a huge aspect of this game as well. Armstead being out can't be the only reason. The tackle situation to pass this off for Miami. This is something to worry about. And then they blitzed Purdy like crazy from what I saw, and he held up well enough, made some throws, considering the situation he was thrown into. Really impressive situation, win for the Niners. But, of course, the question looms, is this sustainable? Where do you go from here? We already got tweets. When's Trey Lance coming back? Baker Mayfield gets released about half an hour ago. Is he going to San Francisco? So really interesting. What do you think?
Well, just let's focus on Brock Purdy because he got the first opportunity and he will get the next opportunity. He'll start next week no matter what the 49ers do. And they've already signed Josh Johnson, who's on his 3rd or 4th stint with the 49ers. I don't know if they can chip away the sign on his personal parking spot and see the name underneath whatever other name.
His career's amazing.
It's unbelievable. By the way, so he goes back to the Harbaugh era with the 49ers. He was Jim Harbaugh's college quarterback.
I know.
University of San Diego. And
he's played for like 20 teams.
It's amazing. It is totally amazing. And so, but he knows the offense, and he knows a lot of offenses. And he was on the practice squad of the Denver Broncos. The Niners were able to just snatch him up and sign him right away. They might have signed him during the game.
Felt like it. So that means he has to be on the active roster for 4 weeks.
Yes.
They can't just cut him and grab Baker,
Yes, and so they'll have to find some space for some quarterbacks, or at least one more quarterback there. The Jimmy, he'll replace Jimmy on the roster. But if they do decide to pick up Baker, we'll get to that in a second. But Brock Purdy, could he be the answer? 7th round rookie. You can't get drafted later than Brock Purdy was drafted, the last pick in the draft.
Right.
And you call him a 7th rounder, but really it's 8 rounds because of all the comp picks. There's 1 round worth of comp picks every single year. There's 32 extra picks, right? So that's how late Brock Purdy was drafted. He was not undrafted though, but he was drafted the very last pick. But he's a good player. Played a lot of football in college. If he was 6'4" and had a bigger arm, would he have been a day 2 pick? Probably. There was talk about him earlier in his career. He was a big time recruit that maybe he would be a higher draft pick. But, 6'1", doesn't have a great arm. One of my listeners said his arm was like a 2-day-old. The ball floated like a 2-day-old balloon. And I thought that was pretty fun.
That's kind of nice. Yeah. A little shrivelly still, right. Yeah.
But in the end, he threw it 37 times, Matt. 25 of 37, 210 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, sacked a couple of times. He had an 88.8 rating, a 57 QBR. Not terrible. Very Jimmy Garoppolo-like. He's got a little athleticism, a little playmaker ability, doesn't have a great arm. He made a couple ill-advised throws, got picked off trying to hit a one-on-one down the field, so some aggressiveness there with that playmakeriness. He tried to go, Patrick Mahomes, Brett Favre across the field, and that could have been disastrous, but it was knocked down by Brandon Ayuk. It was, late over the middle, something you can't do. So he's going to make some rookie mistakes because he's a rookie, but I was pleasantly surprised by what I saw from Brock Purdy, and as long as he's not making big mistakes, I think they can. I think it doesn't look that different. And look, he played most of this game, and the 49ers still beat a playoff team in the Miami Dolphins. But the question is, we saw it with Mike White last week, right? And then this week, they're having trouble trying to put the ball in the end zone, and Mike White ended up throwing for a ton of yards. But, can you adjust to the adjustments? When teams are now trying to stop Brock Purdy and the offense might not look a ton different, how does he hold up there? I would assume the 49ers they pretty much have to figure out something else to quarterback, even beyond Josh Johnson, which leads me to the guy who was released today. And the timing is interesting because he asked for his release. Is this Baker Mayfield looking at this situation specifically, thinking, oh, man, this is my shot. I got to get out of here. Maybe I can,
get in the playoffs and enhance your resume. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. So Baker Mayfield, what are your thoughts on Baker Mayfield at this point? I don't even know if he would get claimed on waivers either. I think he might make it through all the teams and into free agency, unless a team like the Rams want to play keep away from the 49ers and want to claim him. But claiming him is more expensive than just signing him as a free agent. You probably just have to pay whatever prorated veteran minimum for the rest of the year.
Yeah, and would Houston want him just and think he could be their backup next year? I don't know. I mean, maybe there's a handful of teams he makes a little bit of sense for. The Niners in particular. You said this, but I don't want to burst your 2-day-old bubble too much or balloon too much. Anyway, I mean, to me, the test with Purdy, he passed the first one, but can he still look Purdy? I'm sure everyone says that. I can't help it. After a defensive coordinator spends a week game planning for him, he came in past the first test. The bigger test to me is next week. And I don't even know who they play, but there will be adjustments to him, of course, but he might pass that too. Who knows? And
the big test is when they're coming after you, can you hang in there?
Yeah.
You look comfortable.
He put some heavy.
He did, like some grit, some toughness, some competitiveness. He's pumping his fist when he throws a touchdown pass. There's, a free rusher in his face, and he got off a really nice throw, tight coverage to George Kittle. There's some throws he makes, and just there's a few things you thought, okay, there might be a little something here. I don't know but if you're the 49ers, you can't bank on that either. You have to do what you need to do just to be sure. Even if Purdy proves he is the guy starting going forward, and you have someone like Baker Mayfield who's on your bench the rest of the way.
I hate the Mayfield fit, to be very honest with you. But all he has to do to make it worth it is be better than Johnson and Purdy, so he could still be that guy. I just think Shanahan's attention to detail, he'll go crazy with Mayfield, and some of Mayfield's habits that he doesn't break, like constantly rolling to his right when he's in trouble, or playing hero ball, or think he's still the first overall pick type guy when really he just needs to reel it in. I think Shanahan and Baker won't get along at all, to be very honest.
It's a bad fit.
Yeah.
It reminds me of Shanahan and how he didn't like Johnny Manziel when he was the offensive coordinator.
I bet. Wow.
And he actually, Manziel was forced on him. He didn't like him in the draft, and he actually asked, which is a rarity in the NFL. And I guess if your last name is Shanahan, it makes things easier. You're a little bit more, you have a little bit more clout, but he asked to be fired or released from his offensive coordinator duties from the Browns.
Oh.
back then, which is something that you don't, you hold
Wasn't
on.
real worried about getting the next job, I guess.
Yeah, you hold on to the death grip to jobs like that. I guess when your dad's a head coach, you can go to Washington and be the offensive coordinator there, so it makes it a little bit easier. But actually, that was the other way around. Was he in Washington first, then
I think so.
in Cleveland? Anyway,
but I know the Browns owner made them take Manziel. Nobody wanted them.
Right. It's a bad fit. He's pretty much the opposite of Jimmy Garoppolo from a leadership perspective, from a get the ball out quickly hero ball thing. So, but he's the best you can go get.
Yeah, right. It's December 5th.
Right.
We've spent too much time on this because we have a ton of stuff to talk about, and I don't mean to discount the other teams. Are you worried about Miami being a contender after watching this game?
I think it made me feel better about the 49ers than bad about the Dolphins.
Okay. Makes sense. I didn't know if the Niners D was really, really real. It's really, really real.
It's they're ridiculous. They're so good on all levels. Nick Bosa, by the way, I hope you all were listening when I said you should be pounding that over on the 12.5 sacks at Bet Online this year. He's already gone over it. So I cashed that. I hope everybody else out there cashed that. Leading the league now with 14.5 sacks in the Defensive Player of the Year conversation. And getting Eric Armstead back on the interior of the defensive line. He had a ton of pressures. He doesn't always show up in the stat book, but he's really important to the 49ers defense. You've got stud linebackers, including the best in the league probably in Fred Warner. They're playing good on the back end as well. A couple of hiccups in coverage on those really the two only big plays that the Miami Dolphins had all night, which was one was the first play of the game and then hitting another one over the top with Tyreek Hill. 49ers defense is for real, and they just need not bad quarterback play, and they should be okay, but
especially in that conference.
Yes. But it does hamper them the rest of the way here. Come on, Mr. Irrelevant. Quarterback's a Super Bowl team. You can't write that script, Matt. Is that really possible for this team? It really hurts that long-term chance of hoisting Lombardi this year.
I mean, beating the Eagles and Dallas and those type of teams is where you worry. I mean, and they may not even win the division now. I mean, Seattle's coming on, but it could be worse. There's no doubt. Last note, I know we need to move on. I said Parsons and Bosa are running away with, the Defensive Player of the Year, and I don't know who number 3 is. Warner might be number 3. I mean, which is amazing.
Deserve consideration.
Yeah.
Next, we've got Deshaun Watson's debut against the Texans. We've got Lamar Jackson's injury in a narrow win for the Baltimore Ravens over the Denver Broncos, and Cincinnati Bengals versus Kansas City Chiefs. All that and more coming up next. This holiday, find what you love at Total Wine and More. With so many great bottles to choose from, it's easy to find new favorite single barrel bourbon or the perfect gifts for everyone on your list. Some help from a friendly guide as well. You're not sure exactly what to get? Well, they can help you find exactly what you need at Total Wine and More. You'll love what you find, and you will find what you love, all with the confidence of knowing you found that special something for someone at the lowest price. Curbside pickup is also available. Delivery also available in most areas. Visit TotalWine.com to learn more. Spirits not sold in Virginia and North Carolina. Make sure you drink responsibly and be 21. This holiday, we believe your home should be where your family feels the safest, especially over the holiday season. This season, give yourself and your family the gift of peace and protection with the #1 rated home security system, Simply Safe. And right now, Simply Safe is offering Peacock and Williamson listeners 40% off a new security system. So do not put this off. Simply Safe was named the best home security system of 2022 by U.S. News and World Report for the 3rd year in a row. In emergency, 24/7 professional monitoring agents use Fast Protect technology exclusively from Simply Safe to capture critical evidence and verify that a threat is real so you can get a higher priority police response. Simply Safe is a whole home security. Advanced sensors for every room, every window, every door that you need. You can get a sensor for it, and you can have HD security cameras inside and out in just the right spots for your specific situation. Smarter ways to detect motion that alert you when a threat is real, and even have hazard sensors like fire detection, smoke detection, floods, and other threats for your home. So don't miss your chance to save big on our favorite security system. Get 40% off any new system at simplysafe.com/LockedOnNFL today. That's simplysafe.com/LockedOnNFL. There's no safe like Simply Safe. the news is that Lamar Jackson is not going to be out for more than maybe a week or two. So that is great news. And the fact that without Lamar Jackson, the Ravens were able to improve to 8-4 and narrowly 10-9 get by the lowly Denver Broncos.
So I've read this a bunch. I've heard, Ravens are a big Steeler rival. A lot of Ravens people saying, boy, Huntley's not that much worse than Lamar. Let's save the 40 or 50 million and go get a left tackle and a wide receiver and just hand it to Huntley. I'll give you that he's a really good backup and you don't have to change things around, but I'm not exactly there yet on him. But I am interested to watch this stretch.
I think it's two different conversations. Is Huntley a nice little piece, stopgap, high-end backup? Yes. Should you pay Lamar all this money, especially guaranteed with a running quarterback is going to be a hurt quarterback. And we're seeing more and more injuries for Lamar Jackson the older he gets. Puts himself in harm's way. That contract is its own conversation. And if you decide, gosh, we can't go to this dollar amount, it's just too much. Guarantees, this is too much. That's a Lamar Jackson decision. I don't think the Tyler Huntley thing has to do with Lamar Jackson, though, if you put those two together.
Right. Good way of putting it. I'm with you 100%. And I mean, I guess, is Huntley plus 45 million equal Lamar? I don't know about that, but I think I would just roll with Lamar. Anyway, so our buddy Mike Sando put this extremely well in his column on The Athletic today, which really just sums this game up. So Denver, first of all, it is 12:34 Eastern as I say these words. My hunch is at 12:34 Eastern tomorrow, we might be talking about a coaching change in Denver because it can't get worse for this team losing this game. Denver lost that game despite leading for 98% of offensive and defensive snaps. Now, how about this? Going back to 1995, teams were 0-206 when failing to score more than 10 points, committing 2 turnovers, and forcing none. That's not that crazy. -2 in turnover differential, don't get over 10 points, 0-206. Mm-hmm. Well, now it's 1-206. Like, they really had no business winning this game if Denver has any competency on offense.
And for the Broncos to be worse on offense than they were last year, it's amazing. It's a real spit in the face to everybody. And for Russell Wilson to be like probably the worst starting quarterback in the league right now.
That's a real starter, not Allen in Houston or the Rams situation or
Yes, you have to do something different if you're the Broncos. Like, okay, we really screwed up and we can undo the coach thing. We can't undo the Russell Wilson thing now.
He's going to be there.
Yeah.
But you can't just say this is cool. Let's just run it back next week the same way. It's just a terrible message. There has to be a coaching change like now.
Overall, good news for the Baltimore Ravens, but a banged up team for a couple years in a row now, Matt. They have the same record as the Cincinnati Bengals. The Cincinnati Bengals, though, defeated the Kansas City Chiefs and really just seemed to have their number. 27-24 was the final with the Bengals over the Chiefs. Do you feel like those two teams at 8-4 are on the same level, or would you put the Bengals right now in a level above the Baltimore Ravens?
Oh, 2 levels above. I mean, the real question is the Bengals starting with this game, had the hardest schedule in the league remaining. Baltimore has the easiest. It's honestly 1-32. So who actually wins the division? That I don't know. But if they played 100 times, the Bengals win 80 of them. I mean, the Bengals to me are a tier 1 team. The Ravens are not a tier 2 team. I've had concerns about them before Lamar, especially offensively. I think a coaching change on the offensive side of the ball for Baltimore is warranted. And there's some talk that their OC might take the Stanford job. That might be best for everybody. But I am super impressed with Bengals coaching. I've been hard on their coaching staff. I think their defensive coordinator is superb, but you got to give credit to the head guy as well, the adjustments they've made on offense. I've said this for a few weeks now, and I'm not trying to blow my own horn here, but I think the 2 best quarterbacks on the planet played in Cincinnati yesterday, and I still think Mahomes is number 1, and I'm not worried about the Chiefs in the slightest. I mean, they had a bad Kelsey fumble there, but and I don't think, the Bengals have their number, but they have beat them 3 times in the 2022 calendar year, which is pretty crazy. I think since he's legit.
Yeah. Power rankings right now, Chiefs and Bengals are playing probably over the Bills. I think.
I mean, but boy, Dallas and Philly look great too. We haven't even got a chance to talk about that. I mean, like
And
there's
it's
some
yeah.
5 or 6 really good teams right now. And
Right. Well, we'll get to some of those other games. We had a blowout, couple
yeah.
blowout wins. We had a tie in the NFC East, kissing your sister with the Commanders and the Giants there. We'll finish up this episode, wrapping up Week 13, except for Monday Night Football, which is still to come on Peacock and Williamson. Prize Picks is daily fantasy made easy. All you do is you pick 2 to 5 players. They score more or less than their Prize Picks projection. You can win up to 10 times your money on that entry. So you're looking at Monday Night Football and you're thinking to yourself, man, okay, I think that there is a projection for maybe Tom Brady to bounce back in a big way and go nuts on the Saints. You take the more than his projection for passing yards there. Maybe Alvin Kamara, maybe a defensive struggle. You want to pick some less thans for the projections for the Saints Bucks on Monday Night Football. You can find all of those projections at Prize Picks on the Prize Picks app or prizepicks.com, and you're not picking an entire team. Remember, you're picking just 2 to 5 players and looking at those projections. And you look through the projections, find which ones you like, and you just can attack those. You're not competing against other people, not putting together a whole team. And those entries can be made in 60 seconds or less. And of course, this is daily fantasy, so you're playing every single day. NFL projections, NBA projections, golf projections, college sports, motorsports, combat sports, esports, you name it, you can find projections at Prize Picks. So download the Prize Picks app or go to prizepicks.com. Sign up and play daily fantasy sports. First-time users can receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with promo code Locked On. If you deposit $100, Prize Picks will give you $100. If you deposit $50, Prize Picks will give you $50 more to play with. So don't forget to enter promo code Locked On at sign up for an instant deposit match up to $100. We mentioned that tie there. NFC East, big-time playoff seeding implications here with the NFC East, Commanders and Giants. And in a lot of ways, maybe a best case for these two teams to just kind of tie and make sure that they don't screw up their own chance to make the playoffs, because the thing you don't want to do if you're the Commanders or the Giants is lose both of these games. So tying is just as good here, or what we talked about is a handshake win and win with these two teams. But they ended up tying 20-20 overtime, no scores in the overtime period. The Commanders now 7-5, the Giants now 7-4, but the Seahawks are lurking in that NFC playoff picture for those Commanders.
Yeah, I don't know what to make of the tie. I think you said that better than I would have, and that this probably helps both these teams' chances of getting in. But, you know, one 7-5-1, the other one is 7-4-1. Commanders go to a bye. Giants play the Eagles. So when they meet again in 2 weeks, I think they're very likely to both be 7-5-1. Maybe they'll tie again. But could a team like Detroit come and pass them? They're getting kind of hot. There's not a lot of teams nipping at their heels. So I do think there's a very good chance, which I didn't believe before, that 4 teams from the East might go. And they had similar strategies. They both want to run the ball like crazy. And then, New York only handed the ball to Jones or Barkley. Washington possessed the football a little bit better and had a wider array. But this was truly an even game to me. I mean, I didn't leave either game going, man. And you saw it on all their faces walking off the field. No one was like, man, I'm glad we squeaked out a tie in that one. We were getting our butts kicked. It was just both like kissing their sister,
Commanders 7-5-1, Giants 7-4-1. They stayed right where they're at, but the Seahawks at 7-5 now, beating the Rams. And it's hard with those teams, but if you're power ranking those teams, I might, and
those three you're talking about?
Yeah, those 3 teams.
Oh,
watching DK Metcalf go for 127 yards and a touchdown, Tyler Lockett 128 yards and a touchdown. Geno Smith's going crazy this year, and he's not stopping. 367 yards in this game, 116.1 passer rating, 3 touchdowns to 1 interception. I mean, I might put Seattle over both of those teams, and they're essentially tied at this point, and get to have a shotgun start for the rest of the way.
Just a little news that popped up on my phone is Pete Carroll said Kenneth Walker has a strain in his foot, not a sprain. Like, there was a lot of thought that Walker could be out for a while. That sounds promising on a Monday morning. I think I would put Seattle over those teams. And Heineke's been a nice story, but I think Geno's the best quarterback of the trio. Certainly the best passing game and explosiveness on offense, especially if Walker doesn't miss a lot of time. Yeah, and I do think Seattle's going to end up in the playoffs. All three of those teams are probably fodder for the good NFC teams. They struggled with the Rams more than I expected, though. I mean, a Wolford-led Rams team hung around here quite a bit. And correct me if I'm wrong, but in your rock, paper, scissors division, Rams are the rock to the Seahawks scissor, right?
Yes.
I think they have the Seahawks number more often than the other way around. Yes.
And the Seahawks have the Niners number. Niners have Rams number.
Right.
And yeah.
Gotcha.
How about this, though? Just as we all suspected, Geno Smith versus Brock Purdy for the NFC West first place lead in about 10 days on Thursday Night Football, while Matthew Stafford's Rams and Kyler Murray's Arizona Cardinals are pretty much out of it.
Yeah, just the way we drew it up.
Yep.
No doubt about it. Interesting stuff. I think Seattle's an unbelievably interesting team, and Pete Carroll deserves a ton of credit as well. I mean, maybe this wasn't the prettiest win, but I don't care. I mean, the fact that they're 7-5 right now and beating division teams at this stage of the league year is impressive.
Couple of quick notes. Eagles really beating up on the Tennessee Titans. The Tennessee Titans have faced 5 teams that would be in the playoffs right now and have lost to all of them.
One of these teams looked like a real contender. The other one looked like the leader of a terrible division. I give the Eagles front office a lot of credit too. They went out and signed those D tackles, and now the first round pick is back, and Henry does nothing, and you kind of know the rest. Unfortunately for Tennessee, Burks got hurt in this game too. He was someone that was starting to be exciting,
Aaron Rodgers continues his ownership over the Bears, but it looked like that was in danger for the first, really up until about the fourth quarter of the game. Justin Fields did rip off another long touchdown run, but a couple interceptions killed him. So, it's still that way. And maybe next year it finally flips. Some more development from Justin Fields. You can't throw those picks if one of those is a touchdown. And maybe we're talking about the Bears finally having an opportunity to not be owned by Aaron Rodgers and those Packers if Rodgers is even still the quarterback next year. But for this one, he's saluting the crowd. He's got one more on the Chicago Bears and maybe even the last one.
Yeah, and Fields had a big long run as he often does. And other than that, their offense predictably sputtered. I think the takeaway with the Packers is obviously what's going on with the quarterback situation. It's going to be Rodgers as long as he wants. And Christian Watson's really a dude, that is a big development in Green Bay that they have. I don't say a number one receiver, but a really exciting young receiver.
Absolutely. Yeah. And getting really comfortable making plays. He's got so much speed and ability. So last one here, which is the Cleveland Browns beating the Texans 27-14, but it was a lot closer to that. And in fact, for a while, it looked like a baseball score. It looked like the Astros and with a 5-0 lead in that game in the second quarter after a safety and a field goal. And Deshaun Watson did not look good in his debut, but the Browns were just a better team and were able to sneak out of there with a win.
Yeah, he was quite bad, to be honest with you. And I'm not going to say he's a bust. And I've heard people saying he's the next Russell Wilson. They're going to regret give him a couple weeks or a week at least. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure he'll be better than this. And that being said, I thought they would even run for more yardage on Houston. And Houston wasn't an embarrassment in this game. But playing Kyle Allen to me he had a 3 QBR in this game. I mean, you can't tell me he's better than Davis Mills. I mean, you just can't tell me that.
No. And maybe they realized, all right, well, we saw that. And that's, but clearly a lot of work to do, including now quarterback. There's multiple teams that went into the season, weren't quite sure exactly what they were going to get at quarterback. Some of them found something they liked a lot. A lot of them found something that they didn't really like all that much, and they're going to go back to the drawing board. The Houston Texans, I think, is going to be one of those. Although Mills, Allen, whoever it is, doesn't have a ton of help either. No,
they sure don't. I mean, they're going to get the first pick in the draft. There's not many predictions I feel more confident about in that one right now.
More Peacock and Williamson coming up this week every day as we do. Make sure you check out everything else the network has to offer, including Locked On Sports today, featuring one Brian Peacock on Monday's episode.
Nice.
And Matt and I will be back tomorrow breaking down the rest of the league, including Monday Night Football right here. Peacock and Williamson.